changes.
Yeah.
Not that I
No
want to.
excuse for not hearing your wife now. That's the first thing that went out the window.
Yes, I'd like to call a meeting of the Harwich Cemetery Commission to order at 9:01. And first thing on the docket is we have an email from Phoebe Blank on the AmeriCorps webinar.
Yes, so I attended the webinar on Thursday, and it just went through all of the different new requirements that they're gonna have if you wanna get a member for next year. I mean, we love having Maddie this year, she's doing a lot of work for us. So I will fill out all the new documentation for that, and I will let you know as soon as that's completed.
Could we use a second AmeriCorps helper? Or?
I don't think they'd allow that. I think they're, I'm sorry, I'm gonna shut myself off. Thought it was already off. It was Steve.
You get one poor thing.
Sorry. Okay, so, yeah, so we will put in I'll put in for one. You can have them 1, 2, or 3 days a week. I'll put in that for 3 days a week and see if we get someone for 3 days a week. We will have more stuff to maintain now because we are going to be planting the new garden, which we'll
Right.
show you later in the meeting. Sorry about that.
An email from Mary Ann Hoare cleaning up the Bank Street Cemetery.
Yeah, so as you know, we've had this ongoing issue with Bank Street Cemetery. And I did put a phone call in, which the next thing in the packet is an email back from All Cape Fence to do
The fencing around it.
the fencing around it on Bank Street. So, I did put in a work order with the DPW and ask them to go in and clean it up. Also, I'd like to go in, maybe I'll bring Maddie over there one day, and we'll make sure where the fence line is going to be installed, that we have that all clear, so that way, when he is ready to go, he will give us a heads up on to when he has availability to get in there. He is still 2 months behind, so at some point before the summer, he says he should, before midsummer, it will be installed. But I just wanted to keep you, I know that, Steve, this is one of your
Yeah.
projects that you've been wanting to get finished.
And this is the neighbor on the left?
Yes.
Yes.
We stopped off last time
Right,
and saw it.
yeah.
Now, are they going to, has the abutter already been notified that he's gotta move the
So
shrubs?
he won't need to move the shrubs for us to install that fence, because the fence is far enough back that if somebody wanted to pull in and park in the front, they could. Because we're gonna have to have the DPW truck pull up there to unload the mower to get in there to do mowing anyways. So it's a little bit of a distance back. We still not have had that addressed, the encroachment, but I will bring it up again to Megan and see what she wants us to do about the encroachment.
Okay. Because maybe we don't have to remove all of it, but as long as it's not impeding on, or encroaching on the fenced-in area.
It won't encroach upon the fencing that will be installed, but it is encroaching on our property, so we still need to give them
Should be
notification that it has encroached, so.
Cool. So we don't know if the DPW's been there yet or not on that?
They have not, so I kind of would like them to they're gonna go in and clean it up a little bit, but I don't want them to do the complete cleanup, because I need them to clean it up right before they go in to install the fence. So, I mean, there is a work order in, so I'm sure Jim's gonna go and take a look at it and clean up some of it, but I don't think the
Yeah, 'cause
entire,
there's one big branch that's down, I've seen that.
okay. I will make sure I call him today to find out the status on the work order.
Are we gonna put one of our nice green signs up?
Yeah, do you want me to, is this the next sign you guys want me to do?
Yeah, I
I
would
think,
put
where
it
are
up.
we on the list?
We did have a list, but it was between this one, Kelly, and there was another one.
Yeah.
So do you want to do this one next, because it's the most visible?
mean,
We were gonna get a smaller sign.
Yeah, I would definitely do a small sign. Can we do both Kelly and them at the same time?
We could.
Are we doing the Walker Woods one?
Which one?
The Walker Woods,
Hawks Nest?
Hawks Nest one?
I think Hawks Nest already has a sign, but I'll go out and, it doesn't?
No.
Okay, it used to have one that was put up by the state, but I'll go check.
No, I know there isn't.
There isn't? Okay.
Every time I put flags there, there's never been one.
Okay. So smaller sign for Bank Street in Kelly.
Yeah, we just gotta figure out where we wanna put that.
The
If we want it
Kelly
down
one?
on If we want it down on the main road or up at the entrance to the actual cemetery.
I don't know that we could put it on the main road, that's not our property. So I think we have to put it inside the cemetery. Although we do have, now that they've cleared the title to and we have the back portion, the expanded portion of Kelly, I don't know if we wanna put it on Memory Lane rather than on that other cart path that goes to the right down to Sakis's Bog.
Isn't the Baptist one there too, down the street? Or am I mixing?
You're
the
mixing it
28.
up, yeah.
That's the 28 one, okay.
We could take a ride out to those if you guys wanna
Right.
take a,
What is it, First Crush Winery? Do you know where that is?
Mm-hmm,
Okay, go across the street,
yeah.
around the corner a little bit, and it's right there.
it's kinda set back.
As it makes it
Yeah, there's
like a
signs in
Z like
Right.
this, you get to the top Z and just drive straight into the woods.
Right.
Yeah. There's a house right there, and there's this road beside it, but just the next road over, kind of like, just goes right up into the cemetery.
Right.
And do all the cemeteries have signs that say no dogs allowed?
They do. I stopped a woman and her son in Evergreen at a service. I was having a service. And I said, there are no dogs allowed walking in the cemetery. And she says, I was told by the police department that we are allowed to walk our dogs in here. I go, I am the cemetery administrator and I don't believe, I said, maybe they inadvertently told you that, but there are signs posted, there are no dogs walking, and we're gonna have a service going on in a few minutes, so.
I think we need to check all those signs. The one at Island Pond is sort of hidden behind the bushes, and everybody's got their dogs in there.
Yeah.
And I saw one that had a decent sign right at the entrance, but I think Evergreen needs one at, like, a lot of different spots going in, so there's no excuse that they didn't see the sign.
Okay.
I've been told that they're too small to see also.
They're
Evergreen's
pretty
is
big.
hidden.
They're
They're big enough, I understand, but people who really don't want to see them,
Yeah,
they're too tiny.
Yeah.
I think.
They make these new stop signs in other states that have little red lights that flash around them.
That's annoying.
No dogs, no dogs.
So if we get a price on what, I don't think those signs are that much, but like Evergreen would need a bunch of signs, and some of the other ones, you see them just waltzing the dogs through,
okay.
for whatever
I'll check. I
reason.
think the DPW does make some of those signs for us, but I'll verify that.
They need to be, and the ones at Island Pond, the entrance should be moved somewhere, because it's behind some shrubs, and the other signs are hard to see.
Okay.
And then an email from Madeline Orth on the native
That's
species-
Maddie. So,
Maddie?
this is on our native species garden, if anyone's looking in the packet, they can see. So the 3 trees that we decided to go with
That with the other
in the
part.
garden are gonna be the tulip tree, which I don't know if you guys, any of you know of the tulip trees. They're very beautiful, so I'm gonna get actually a couple of those, because I think we should plant them in different areas as well. A river birch, and then sweet magnolia are the 3 trees, and the rest are like shrubs and ground covers. So this project's gonna be going on the same day as town meeting, ironically. So we'll be picking up all the shrubs in the morning, and then we'll be planting them in the daytime. So AmeriCorps, I think they have 10 members that are gonna be planting this garden. They'll be digging out, Steve, as you know, how hard it is to dig in the dirt that's been compacted, because that's what happened to the front entrance. So they'll be doing all of the plantings and laying it out with a gray, those are stepping stones, so we're just gonna get flat stepping stones for that area to people can walk in between them, because we don't want them just wandering through. We wanna give them a path to go on. So I'm very excited about this. She did a lot of work on it. As you can tell from the second and third pages of this, she actually listed when they were in bloom, the different shrubs and the different ground covers and the trees, so that way we would have color year-round within the native garden. So very excited to finally get this project underway. On another note, I know the Garden Club, it's their 90th anniversary this year, and they're trying to have 90 new trees planted in the town. So they asked if they could use some of the trees that we're planting this year as in their inventory as new planted trees. And we still do have that $20,000 that we went to town meeting for, that came out of our perpetual care expenditure account to replant trees in the cemeteries that were affected by the tornado. So I'm gonna check to see what the prices are on these trees and what else Agway is sending me back. And then maybe at the next meeting, you guys could take a peek at that list, and maybe we could choose a few more other trees to add to different areas. I know we recently had to go in and take some more trees down in Mount Pleasant that were damaged from this last windstorm, believe it or not. As well as in Island Pond, we took down a few additional trees. But we've had a lot of windstorms since the tornado, which have damaged the trees that were already damaged. So we lost a lot of trees, and we need to replant them. So I'm excited to get some done this spring. I did. Russ Norton recently spoke at the Garden Club meeting that I attended and talked about all the different native species and why we should be planting them. They need less water. They're hardier. They're better for this area. So he is working with Maddie. He, went over our list of species that we were putting in that garden because it's at the top of the hill and gets full sun. And he's going to recommend some more natives that we should be planting in some of the cemeteries just to give us a little bit more diversity in the cemetery. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes, but very excited about getting some more trees planted.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you very much, this is great.
I know, she did a great job.
Good work.
Yeah, it's really nice. Should get her to do the garden in front of my house. Rob, did you have a question on the estimate?
Well, did this require a motion?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Did somebody want to make a motion on that? On the fence for the?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. This is item C, Ralph of All Cape Fence. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the $4,400 for the fencing at Bank Street.
I'll second it.
I'm in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right?
I think we did it before, but the price quote had changed. I think it was 36. We had voted before, but since then the price went up, so.
Cool. An email from Elissa Saigan, Stone Cleaning Workshops?
Yes, so she had reached out to me a couple times, and she would like us to run another stone cleaning workshop. I've had them before, Cindy's attended them. We had one with Jonathan Arpel, who is a great instructor, but he has trained me and Cindy as well, and a couple other people have attended that who are cleaning stones currently in the cemeteries. So I would love to do this again. I think we should pick a date at some point, and then, but we're gonna need to get product. So all the product that we got, the last time we ordered it, so I pulled the invoice this morning just to make sure, was in March of 2020. We got 2 5-gallon containers of the D2, and then we got 6 stone cleaning sets, which came with the brushes, the scrapers, the bottles, the spray bottles, the water bottles. And we got 6 of those, and the total for that invoice was $890. They were at our conference that me and Cindy attended on Friday, and I talked to her. She says she doesn't think the price has gone up since then, but I can confirm that it might go up $5 or $10, she said.
I expect
So
it to be up.
I just needed to know if you guys would like me to order the products, that way we can have it, so then when we do have it's scheduled, we'll have the product on hand.
And that's enough to do, what, 1 session of cleanings?
Oh, no, we had it for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So, but depending on how many people show up to actually do the stone cleaning workshop, and I know that we've got a couple that does the North Harwich Cemetery currently. They've been cleaning all the stones in preparation for our services that the Sons of the American Revolution are doing there. But we also have somebody who's volunteered in Island Pond, and we had somebody else who was volunteered at East Harwich. So it'd be nice if we do a stone cleaning workshop, and then we can get more people involved, and that they can go to different cemeteries and hopefully help us out. In other towns of the Cape, they've got quite a nice group of people who clean the stones. I know in Dennis, I think they did all the cemeteries already. But in Yarmouth, they've got another group that's doing it, and also in Barnstable. So hopefully we can get people out there that would like to volunteer and help us with this.
So do we still have the stone cleaning kits from the last time?
We have some of them. I mean, the brushes wear down, though. That's the problem. So you kind of, I probably would only get 5 of the stone cleaning sets because you're going to need them for each individual person. I had purchased baskets before because I don't, especially with the pandemic and everything, I'd like everyone to have set it up. It comes with gloves. Some people are sensitive to the lichen and stuff. So it comes with gloves. It comes with the scrapers in the basket. So when they would show up, I would give them their own basket. I wouldn't want them to be sharing stuff. Because,
Is it worthwhile to buy extra brushes if they wear down?
well, if they come in the kit. So last time we got 6 kits, and I think that was enough. So, because it's like 2 brushes, 2 scrapers, it comes with 2 of everything.
Oh, so each kit will cover 2 people.
Yeah.
Do we usually get, like, only 12 people show up, or?
So the one that me and Cindy first attended with Jonathan, I think there was 30 people there, believe it or not. And then I did another one that was later, and I think we had 10 people. So depending on how you put it out there and how many people would come out, and it's also going to depend on if the pandemic comes back or not. Hopefully it's gone, but you just want to make sure that people are being safe. And
How much are the cleaning kits, the brushes?
the cleaning kits are $84.50. They do come with the cleaning solution. They come with everything.
So then the 2 extra jugs are just extra solutions?
They're bigger jugs that you can refill the smaller ones with.
Didn't we work as teams? Like one was
We did,
spraying the water a little at a time.
yeah. So we did work in teams when we did it with Jonathan. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure we have enough stuff for
So
everybody.
do you guys want me to order exactly what I got last time, or you wanted me to change it? I can get exactly what I got last time, and then we'd have plenty.
My only concern is having enough kits for, if we get a lot more people, or we can just buy extra brushes, because that seems to.
We could, we
Understand.
could get them down at, what's it, yeah, the hardware store also sells the same brushes. They're almost like what you clean a wheel well with. But the smaller brushes that you get in between the engraving on the stones, I still have plenty of those, I think.
Okay.
Those are my favorite brushes anyways. I mean, it takes longer to use them, but a lot of people like the bigger brushes because you can do a larger area, but you really want to get in the crevices and make sure you get all the lichen out. And once you spray it, it's night and day. You see a stone, you think it's gray, and then you clean it, and then every time it rains, it gets whiter and whiter and whiter. And then as you drive by some of our cemeteries now, you'll look in and you'll see all these white stones. Before they were all gray or covered with that yellow lichen, and you didn't even realize they were that white. So it'd be nice to get them all back to the way they were. Plus, by cleaning them, you're protecting them from the biological stuff eating away at the stone. So you kind of want to do it. It's kind of a preventative treatment for them. So.
Okay, so we're probably got enough stuff if you just order the same again then, you think?
Yeah, do you think we should just order the exact same amount? I mean, it lasted me for 2 years, so I think it was a good amount. And even if more people come,
We could always order more cleaning kits at that time if we need it.
we could, yeah. So does anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we buy the same supplies as last time for the cleaning, and at the next meeting, set up a date that we could do
The workshop?
the workshop.
Okay, I'll pick some dates and I will get back to you.
Good morning.
I'll second that.
Would it be a good idea to call her and ask her when she's available, if she has some dates that would work for her as well?
Who?
The young one that's doing the workshop.
Oh, okay,
Alyssa.
sure. I will reach out to Alyssa and see.
Okay.
See if I can motion. And Rob second. Is it unanimous?
It is.
Yes.
We're not up to you yet, Steve.
Pardon?
All for you.
Unless we want to take him out of order. We can wait.
We can, so he's not tied up here all morning with us. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good yourself?
Good. Robin pinged me about 5 minutes to 9, said, "Would you like to come to the meeting this morning?"
Just
Yeah,
in
of
case
course
they
he-
had questions. All right, so Steve's is in the very back of the packet.
But,
So it starts like, you should see it like this, top of the page. So,
There are two
two different things on the,
different things we want to talk about. One is Evergreen.
so, well, I want to talk about first about the form. So I had reached out to Steve. A lot of the other towns who have interactive websites have all their forms up on the website. It makes it easier if somebody dies. The funeral home can go in, view it. If somebody needs to purchase a lot, we'll be able to accept credit cards, which has been a huge pet peeve of mine because at the time of death, they have a lot of expenditures to make, and I currently don't have the ability to accept credit cards. If we do an online thing, we would encompass that. Steve has reached out to our town treasurer and gone through talking to her about the ability for us to be able to accept credit card payments. I think it's a helpful thing for the families so that they don't have to be stressed out. Sometimes when they come and they have a sudden death, they'll buy one grave space because that's all they can afford to give me is $800. And then they'll wait and they'll come back 2, 3, or 6 months later and try to buy the one that's right beside it. I usually block them off for them, but I think it's kind of stressful for them. They want to make sure that they're buried with their spouse, or I just think it's an added feature to be able to take credit cards. So to do all of our, what I requested for him was they can do the monument, the burials, monument markouts, cremation, and then payment for burial lots.
And also, we put in there a way for them to pay for full half-day.
GPR work. So if I was gonna
GPS
do
work.
the ground penetrating
Yeah.
radar work I've done them for some people's homes, oddly enough, to find their septic tanks if they're doing, instead of them digging up their whole yard. I've done a couple right here in Harwich Center. But we do them for other towns. They'd probably pay us with a check. They're usually looking for grave spaces, but I mean, the GPR equipment can be used for several different.
Now, to sell the grave space, you're still gonna have to meet them there at the cemetery?
Yes, we were still, with the Island Pond or the Marceline Arboretum app, there are available cemetery lots on the page themselves. So they could find a cremation lot, or some of the full body burial lots are on there as well. But going forward, we could use this for the next application, which we're doing Evergreen, which has a lot of cemetery lots for sale. So if we get it all up and running, then when we go to Evergreen, then we can use the same type of stuff. So it's $2,000 to create all of the forms and to be able to access the online
Credit.
payment option stuff. So,
That's not in the money that was approved from
no,
town
no,
meeting.
this is,
so
no,
Do we
this is,
have to,
you would have to make a motion to approve this $2,000.
right,
That's totally separate. That wasn't part of the original bid.
and where does that come from?
That comes from our revolving account, which has currently, you'll see in it, we have $87,000 in there.
And we don't have to get approval from anyone?
No,
I spoke with Amy. I went and wanted to make sure that how we do this is in keeping with what her needs are. And she just gave me, she gave me the green light. She said, just as long as it goes into our account. And we're gonna bill the service charge, whatever that may be, to the purchaser themselves. So nothing comes out of the full amount that's going back to the town.
so if there's a 2% surcharge, or whatever.
Whatever the credit cards are, you can probably
whatever
get
the
credit cards for
Visa or
about
whatever
2,
the card
maybe a
is.
little bit less than 2%.
Except
And-
American
Huh?
Express. Except American Express.
Except American Express. And there'll be a couple dollar processing fee for the form itself. But this is really gonna make her life so much easier. in terms of being able to manage all of this, because now it's all coming in via paper. And I think that that's really, you lose the ability to create a database. You lose the ability for her to be able to make for Robin to be able to enter these transactions without having to go through all the paperwork, and you know what the paperwork is like.
Yep.
So I think, for her, it would also be a benefit.
And this will generate a statement, a monthly statement as to what's
You'll
been
ha-
purchased or
Depends
whatever.
upon what credit card processing company we use. I'll probably go with Stripe and set up an account with Stripe, and through that account, you'll be able to access that account online. Also, you'll be able to manage it through Amy, who'll be able to set up a separate depository link for me to send the money to. So you'll be able to see how everything is checked and balanced.
This is Amy Bullock?
Yeah.
That's what he meant. I
What
wanna make sure.
about encryption and liability of all this?
Yeah, no,
stuff?
no, that's all SSL. I mean, when certainly we have to have an SSL certificate on the site, but the real processing happens through what's called an iframe. An iframe is a little code that really isn't, it's on your website, but it's really directly connected to the bank. And the real worry is for the bank, not for you. Because no transaction actually goes through your website. However, it looks like it's going through your website.
Well, the transaction actually happens at the bank or.
It happens
financial
on whoever it is, the credit card processing company, authorized.net. There are several that we can choose from. I use Stripe myself. It's easy to use, and it's relatively inexpensive, and they're global, so.
Sounds good.
And that's all part of the service fee you charge for, when somebody buys, so all those fees are an added fee onto the, like if you buy.
Right, and they'll know exactly what their fees are gonna be, that they'll be charged separately. And those fees go to the bank, and I'm gonna get about $1 or $2, I don't know what my costs are gonna be yet, to be able to process these and make sure that everything is maintained properly.
And there'll be a statement that check option is available.
Yes, and then if we go there, then we have to have a caveat to this. If a check option is available, then we need to set up an account. Now, it's not a big deal to set up individual accounts for every person or for every cemetery or for every individual that works, that has to pay something to the town, but it's probably another day's worth of labor on my part, which might cost you another $1,000.
This is
So-
for a check option?
For a check option, we'd want to have an account setup feature so that the individual can actually see what their transactions are. If we send it in via just a check, that's not a big deal. But if you want them to be able to see all of their transactions, they'll get a copy of it, and they'll see it on their statement. But if you want them to have a platform within the website to be able to see what their transactions were, and for some companies that that do business with you all the time, they may want to have that. You may want to have that as a part of a database setup, so you know who paid for what, especially if it's coming in on checks.
I guess I was being simpler and just thinking they could print the form, send you the form with a check.
Right. So normally if I meet somebody at the cemetery and they want to pay with a check, they give me a check, I get all of the stuff, and then I make the deposit with Amy, and I'm not going through there. Then I have to put then I have to enter everything in. So who purchased the lot, how much it cost, how many grave spaces it was, who the contact person was, and all that information comes out of that stuff. If it's done on this form, it goes into a database. Say 5 years from now, we are trying to figure out who the lot owner is because maybe their stone got tipped over by a tree or whatever. It'll all be in the database. You just pull up the lot information, and it's gonna have us all the transactional fees. Everything that happened on that lot will be in one place.
So that would replace your files, or would you still
It
keep
would,
your files?
I think we still need to keep the files legally,
Yeah.
but it would be easier. So say if I'm out and we needed to access something, we could access it.
From wherever.
The files could also be, the data could also be exported, so that if you have a requirement to bring them onto your computer,
Yeah.
They can be exported in a CSV file or an Excel file, so then you can put them into your Access database.
Yeah,
And just Amy and you would have access to that?
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
and Steve, because he's
Yes, I know.
maintaining it, but.
Yeah.
So, but they can still pay with a check.
they can pay with a check online, and that's simple. You're right. They don't need to set up an account. If you have, and that's for an individual, but what do you want to do about people that are going to, that are like Chapman or Tommy Blued or these people that are constantly creating business with the town for the services that they provide? So do you want them to be able to have a place to be able to go in and see all of their transactions? I think at some point you want to consider that. So to make it easier for your wholesale accounts or for your commercial accounts to be able to acknowledge what's happening within their own account with you, so they can manage that as well. And that's not, again, it's not a lot of work. It's just setting up another page that would be something that would be a global page, but when it's set up by the individual, their name goes on it instead of somebody else's name.
But they don't pay a transactional fee to write a check, do they?
Not to write a check, for a,
Electronic check?
just for whatever fees the credit card companies charge or the processing companies charge, that data still has to go over encrypted. And that still has to go over, I believe, through authorized.net or through one of the other transactional houses that allow that data to go securely from your website over to them. So there may be a processing fee. I don't know, but it would be no more than what it would be for any other transaction.
Yeah, but people can still come in and give me a check.
And give you a check, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, would they mail you the check?
No.
Or are you talking about they just transfer from their bank account to there?
My bank account doesn't get involved in this. This is all your bank account. It's the account you have with Stripe that I will set up. It's the account that you will have access to, and no money goes through my bank account. The only thing that comes to my bank account is maybe $1 or $2, whatever it is that I'm going to charge for the fee to process the transaction. That's the management
So they
fee.
pay, then how do they pay online with a check?
They don't have to pay
I'm
online
old
with a
enough,
check.
that's
They can-
confusing me.
They can just come and give me the check.
But you can't.
But yet it'd still be recorded on that site?
It would go through the site, right? It's an ACH transaction. And that transaction is handled just like you would a credit card transaction. Only you put in your check number and your account number.
That's if they wanted to do that.
If they want
Routing
to.
number.
I'm sorry?
And routing number.
And routing number, that's correct. And that's,
This is for one-time people buying a plot? I'm not talking about recurring stuff
Right,
with
right.
Tommy
Right.
or services. I'd like to digest this some more.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
that part of it, I think.
I mean, I'm all for simplification,
Right.
especially the data transfer and everything. This is just a big
Okay.
change.
I agree, I'd like to reconsider it,
Yeah.
All right,
that part of it.
and I'd be happy to, I've already put a couple of models together. And at the next meeting, I can show you how they work. It's just a form.
That would be
I'd be happy to answer any additional
Oh,
questions.
and it's, I mean, I built a form for a league once to
Yeah.
do, I mean, I'm
No, no,
in
no.
awe of what you do doing that.
No,
Because I had to learn it from a college of hard knocks, so
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
really
let me
appreciate
tell you,
it. Yeah.
through your effort have come simpler solutions.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, yeah, you
And
just sign up
the
and-
solutions now, we still have to do some processing, some transcribing from one code to another, but today you just drag and drop.
It is.
Drag and drop, and it's really quite neat. And to your point about an individual coming in, that is again going to be, I get your point, but the point is it's going to make the town's efforts more effective for the users in the end run, in the end game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a side note, but when I go to pay, I forget what bill it is, and the town wants to charge me X number of percent to do it, I go, the heck with it, I'm gonna write a check and walk in
Well,
here
that's-
and go, here.
Well, that's still
I just
doable.
saved 3%,
She
you know.
could, they could still do that. I mean, they're not forced to do anything.
True, right.
So they still have that option.
And they would know that when they do it.
Oh, sure.
It says right on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it says right on.
Just figured it would.
All right, so then the other thing that we want to talk about is Evergreen Cemetery doing the online, same thing that we did with Island Pond. Evergreen is probably my second most popular cemetery for burials and for purchases. It's actually our largest cemetery. And we do have thousands of available grave spaces there. So this one, and it has that older section, which is very visited as well. So it has an old section that's very visited. Be nice to get all of those graves in there listed, plus we're doing the Veterans Memorial Circle there, which is gonna make it even more popular. So to have this one, to have the same type of interface that we have at Island Pond, which I have to tell you, somebody called me this weekend looking for somebody, and they were like, I know it's Saturday. And I was like, drove them right to the website, and they pulled it up, and they were thankful, and they could find their spot. So they were like, yay. So
It does work. I played with that over there a couple of things.
I love it. I mean, I really love it. The more I've done it, the more I'm into it. Especially the part that's not being utilized yet. And that's the part where families can create their own legacy
Yeah.
and put in videos or put in photos or put in whatever they want, which then becomes a part of the permanent archive of the town and a way for the families of the future to see the archival information about who's passed. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's really meaningful.
So he, Steve has put together a proposal to do Evergreen. I'm trying to find last page.
Have we got the ability to go straight to a certain site, or is it still like 50 feet away or something?
Well, I'm trying to, I met with somebody yesterday who's volunteering. You can go directly to the grave.
Okay.
That's a lot of work. How many souls are buried in Island Pond? You could direct it directly to the individual grave.
So all of the veterans, we actually have GPS coordinates for them. So literally, if you put in any veteran's name, it's gonna walk you to
Okay.
the
The only thing
grave.
I'm thinking is at town meeting, I think we said, that you could put in your information, it would take you right to that person's grave.
It would
Yeah,
bring
and
you within 50 feet.
Within 50 feet, that's,
Within 50
But
feet.
did we say that at town meeting? I don't think so.
I think it's gonna bring you within the perimeter of the grave space, so that, we never said that it would bring you
When I
to,
used it, it brought me within
within
like 10 feet.
10 feet. It's pretty close.
Walked up and it brought me to here, but it was here.
right. And you could bring it right to there, but that's a lot of work. I mean, we did, even doing the 50 feet in intervals. That was, I spent a month and a half doing that, just because when you go to a specific spot, you then have to take a 360 image, and each one of those 360 images is individual to that GPS location. So you can understand the
Storage requirements for that.
the storage isn't that. I mean, storage is a lot, don't get me wrong. And they're stored on two different servers. I mean, one for the 360 images, one for everything else. But just doing it, setting up the tripod, moving from space to space, making sure that everything is coordinated then back in the office, because even though it's done via electronics, it still has to be coordinated to the particular GPS location of that street within the cemetery. So, and to do that for each grave, that would be a significant budget. But, however, I do have a volunteer. I have another kid that's going to be doing an apprentice program with me this summer. And a part of what they're going to be doing is exactly that. So Island Pond is going to expand in terms of being able to get to specific locations.
Oh, great, okay.
And I think what we should do is go, just as a suggestion, is go to the historically significant people first. And I think one of the things, after we get through Mount Pleasant, not,
No, Evergreen,
Evergreen, and the other one was
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant. After you get through that process, then I would really love to do one of the old historical cemeteries, because that's what people are really interested in is the history of their communities and what's happening here on the Cape, and I think that would be a really spectacular effort.
So that's something that's easily added on later on.
Everything is easily added on.
So when we get more, if we have more money later on or whatever in time, then you can go in and start pinpointing more localized areas.
That's
with
right.
GPS stuff.
That's right.
Could I just ask you, Robin, if you can go back, I don't know where you find it for town meeting, what exactly was the
Okay.
language that they approved? Not that I appreciate all you've done, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to say it's not perfect, but
Right.
I'm saying, I know there's gonna be somebody that's gonna go, I thought you said this, and then if we
So-
can
so
say,
some of
no,
the-
this is what we actually said.
So,
that would be good.
And I know that we had the individuals that we had our historic significant ones. And I said, if you were to put in George Weeks, it would Google walk you to his grave. So those ones are done.
Right.
And so we did have significant ones that we had in the cemetery. But I believe, I'm pretty positive it was within 50 feet. But I will pull,
If you could just double check that, just so that we can say to
Yep.
them, oh, this is what we actually said then.
Yeah, and that was a part of the requirement too, was the 50-foot.
yeah, because we have the price quote for that.
Right.
So,
There you
I
go.
mean, we have the entire RFP that went out, so.
Perfect, thank you.
So that being said, I know at the last I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before last, you guys said you wanted to add another one in the cemetery. So I asked Steve to give us information about doing Evergreen. So on the, I guess, the third to last page of this packet,
Yeah.
the price to do Evergreen,
Is 19.
1970, 750. Looks like this, and
Is there any advantage to saying like Evergreen, you're out here doing Evergreen? Is there a cost savings if you do Evergreen and Mount Pleasant? Since you're in
Well,
this town
you know,
same time?
here's the advantage. If you wanted to do them both this year, we could do it. But I'd have to get started pretty quick, because I have to do that GPS, and it's gonna take a couple of months to coordinate everything, and then would have to move over to Mount Pleasant. So, and then we could do 2 cemeteries this year. However, you know, you may wanna do that in the Mount Pleasant one come the fiscal year 2023, instead of doing both of them 2022. Just as a,
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a,
financially, no, I mean, this is like $8,000 less than the other ones. And,
because the main things are already set up. You're just gathering the data to put in it.
right, the data is set. That's not the hard part of it at this point. The hard part of it at this point is taking the pictures and going out there and doing the work, and then editing every picture, and then doing the 360 images. That's a lot of labor. And the amount of labor, I mean, that I put in last year on Island Pond and not Mount Pleasant, and Marceline, is something, believe me, it's way beyond any hours that I had calculated. And now I know. I know how long it's gonna take, and I know what I have to do, and the amount of hours to do that. That's the hard part of it. The software's there.
So it's more beneficial to just do the bigger cemeteries one a year. We get down, like you got Kelly and a couple of the other smaller ones, you do a couple of those at a shot.
yeah, they're pretty small.
I would do those under one umbrella. I would do those under the historically significant cemeteries in town. That way, while they'll be under one umbrella, individuals will still be able to go to the individual cemeteries that are within that umbrella, and that makes it only one cemetery.
That makes sense to me.
But the bigger ones need to have their own individualized identity.
Yeah, I knew they had their own identity, but I didn't know if you could come do that one and this one. But if you're local, then travel is not that big of a deal.
No, it isn't.
Well, he lives in Dennis,
Okay. That answers that question.
pretty local.
I live in Dennisport, so it's,
Close.
yeah, it's close enough.
So I don't know, so Steve, just explain this, it's 19,750, its turnaround is 3.5 months. Hosting, and then tech support, and then, the annual support for these platforms,
2,500 a year.
yeah.
And there's a lot of support that goes into it that I don't even, it's just, I just do it, and I don't know how many hours. I could document them. I think it's in everybody's best interest that I just do a flat rate for the year. And that's for $2,500 for each cemetery, plus $5,000 for all the
Oh,
hosting.
I think you did 2,000,
How much?
two,
Two.
Two for what?
2,000
Tech
for
support.
tech support. and
Tech support, okay.
And 55 for and that's for each location?
Depends on the it depends on the location. It's, if you're gonna have 3 of them under one, then that would be cumulative to 1. But it depends on the location, because each one has their own server. Every cemetery is being set up on the Amazon cloud, and they all have their own individual cloud storage space and processing space, which is called an EC2 instance. And those EC2 instances are your dedicated servers. And I believe that each one of these, you have to have them dedicated for each one of the cemeteries.
Yeah.
The thing is that right now we only have in like photos of the stones and the locations of the people. But once people start adding their stories and we start doing tours, Island Pond had a lot more stuff because we had all of the trees and the shrubs and all of the gardens that we have in Island Pond, which is different. But Evergreen's gonna have the Veterans Memorial and eventually is going to have the Walk of Remembrance, which is gonna be huge. So that in and of itself is gonna be, we'll probably wanna list all of our Civil War veterans, all our Revolutionary War veterans. I have been compiling all that information and been finding out more and more stuff about each one of those soldiers that we have, especially the Revolutionary War veterans, which I put some in the packet. So that way, people who are coming here to do research on their Revolutionary War hero, maybe they want to be a part of the DAR or the SAR or whatever, they'll be able to have access to some of that information, because I'd like to put up some of that I find. I have Ebenezer Eldridge's, I think I put it in the packet.
And I'd like to spearhead a volunteer effort through the town, through the Town of Harwich, not the Town of Harwich website, but the community website, and any ways that we can through the senior center to get some volunteers involved, because it's really interesting work. Doing the research of finding these stories. One of my favorite is, who's that kid that, Gonzalez, Gomes?
Oh, yeah, so the one that lost his life?
Saving a Nickerson kid, trying to save a Nickerson kid. It's the stories of bravery, the story, they really move me. And Mr. Gomes has become my favorite. He took off his skates to try to save Mr. Nickerson's life, and they both drowned. And that was just, for a young kid to try to do that was just an amazing story.
You guys need to digest this, what do you want to do?
So this particular one, if we do Evergreen,
Yep.
is gonna cost us $7,500 for basically maintenance. I know there's a lot to it under it, and the service of the web
Creating it.
and everything,
But creating it
every
is,
year.
every year to maintain it, yeah.
Okay, and Island Pond is how much to maintain?
I think
It-
theirs was $7,000, right?
It's $7,000.
Yeah, yeah, and that was under contract for 3 years.
And we'll definitely have money to do that with every year.
Yeah, we should have
We
plenty
should.
of money.
No,
We
you're
take,
supposed to say yes.
can we
will.
take in,
Should have.
we take in roughly about, we were I know you guys saw my statistics. We used to take in 50, then we took in 60. Now I think we're at 80. We have the
80-something.
83 right now. So believe it or not, and they talked about it at the Mass Cemetery Association, it's about to be an explosion of all the baby boomers aging out, so all of
I
the,
resemble that.
sorry, I know.
Please don't remind me.
So I think that, there's only two things that are certain in this life, death and taxes, and
And we gotta
I
pay them
think
this
people are
week,
gonna
too.
keep dying, and I think people are gonna be buying cemetery lots.
So, I mean, I am truly appreciative of just having done websites
Okay.
as amateur,
Yeah,
and the tech support fees for this, plus that's an ongoing thing. I mean,
Right.
it's not like we're turning off people
Right.
passing away and being buried, and history's being recorded. So it's the AWS fee that, I mean, you want a quality server, you want
Yeah.
encryptions, firewalls, and paying for that. We can't go exactly rent a building here and stack them ourselves.
right.
And there's another fee that I pay. And aside from the storage and the processing and all of that, you have to update these everything. You have to, when you build a website, all of the elements that go into it have to be updated in order to be in compliance with how the internet is changing
And backed up.
and backed up. So all of these things are a part of what we're responsible to do, to make sure that that happens. And that's an ongoing thing. But the other part of this is those 360 images, they're on a completely different server that only deal with those 360 images. So we have not only the expense of the AWS and the storage of AWS and the EC2 and the S3 is what they're called, but we have the Ricoh camera. And the Ricoh camera is that 360 imaging, and that's on a specialized server that I pay a monthly fee to, that then again I have to pass on to you. So when you look at all of the different aspects of what is renewable in terms of what's just to keep this thing going,
No, it's just, I'm just vocalizing that.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a big chunk, and then when you extrapolate it 20, 30, 40 years,
Yeah.
it's,
thank God.
wow, it's a little,
Yeah.
but it's an annual $5,500.
Yeah.
Let's look and see what the traffic bears in 2003, and I'm open to looking at that number. But, I'm at this point now where I don't know. And I have to really caution on the safe side for my company.
Oh, absolutely, no,
Yeah.
and this
But,
is a
we
new
can
thing that's happening.
we can examine that. We can examine the number.
Yeah.
And I'm open to, looking at it with you guys.
Thank you for explaining that, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
I
a
look
lot
at it and
more
I
to
think,
it than
wow,
I
but then I go, wait a minute, there's a whole lot of stuff going.
You have no idea.
No idea.
You have no idea what
Exactly.
goes into this thing. I mean,
I'm very appreciative.
I love it, don't get me wrong, and I appreciate the bit, but I had no idea how much work was gonna go into this. At first it was all about excitement, and it still is. However, then you get into the nuts and bolts of it. It's a lot of manual labor. And thank God I can still do it.
Definitely.
We're glad you can.
And the scary part is there's younger kids coming out of college that do it in their sleep while they're playing video games.
We have our grandkids
do
and
that?
stuff. and our
Well, I
kids
got this
set everything up
kid
before-
who went to Cape Technical High School last year, graduated, who came and asked for an apprentice program. He's at some college now, and I am so glad to have those young legs. And he's going to be, assisting me during the summer as well as some of the other volunteers. So I look forward to doing the next one.
It's like learning a foreign language. You go live in Greece, you learn how to speak Greece.
Yep.
But unless you do this,
You don't know.
you can't speak it, do it.
First thing I did was in video was building an application for the Boston Marathon, where we built what was called the finish line. Now this was in 2005 when nobody was streaming, and we were up on the platform, the finish line platform, for 10 hours watching everybody cross, and then we built we chunked, that was all chunked into one server, and then we chopped it. We timed it into 10-second intervals, 10 hours of video into 10-second intervals so that somebody could go to WBZ's website and click on their finish time and see themselves crossing. I mean, that was just gee whiz, you know, it still is to me. But the innovation that is available through the technologies today doesn't stop, and it's fascinating. It's
Keeps
just
evolving all the time.
all the time, all the time.
Okay, so we need a motion on this part and for the credit card,
No, we're gonna hold on the credit card, I thought.
that part?
Yeah.
I thought we were just holding on the
Research some
check
of that.
part.
What?
I thought we're just holding off on the
Yeah.
checks.
No, I would personally
Well,
like to
thank
digest that aspect of,
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can add it. You know, we can add it. You know, it's not a big expense, and we can add it. You know, sometime this summer if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
Okay, and for doing Evergreen, do I hear a motion as to what somebody would like to do with this? So I make a motion to accept the bid for doing Evergreen?
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Aye.
favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay,
Cool.
You got some busy work to do.
all right.
Now I got to go get myself a handicap card again. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
I look forward to working with you more. It's I really do appreciate the work ahead because I find it just to be, you know, my new saying is, you know, cemetery does not necessarily need to be your final destination.
Hopefully.
Am I all set here?
Yep.
Any other questions?
thanks
Thank
for your
you.
Okay,
candid
thank you so
answers,
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I a lot of the time I just don't know.
Yeah.
But what I do know, I know. Thank you for your forbearance, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, thank you. 12:05 a.m.
Yep. So then we left off on item number,
F.
yeah, F.
F.
So, I just put this in here, Phoebe had sent this to me. She does a lot of stuff with the cleanup of, the canal. And, Phoebe is from AmeriCorps, and all the AmeriCorps members will be working this event, but they're always looking at more people to help them out. So she asked if any of us could share this with our boards or with anyone that we work with, so I put it in the packet, hoping that if somebody sees it who has spare time on the 23rd, they would like to go up and help clean up the canal. So I just put it in there for you.
Thank you.
There's no need to do anything else.
Public service announcement.
Yeah, it's just a public service.
Then Jan, more on the CPC updates?
Yes, so I went before the CPC on Thursday, this past Thursday, and gave an update on all of our outstanding CPC articles, and I included that in the packet. So on Article number 50 of 2018, we went out to bid for the Mount Pleasant gravestone, and I didn't realize that we still had a remaining balance. The amount that we got appropriated at town meeting was $49,900. And our total for the project was $49,140, which left a remainder balance of $760. So I asked them to return that to their CPC fund so they could put that back into the bucket for somebody else to use. I did give them an update on the Pine Grove gravestone article, which was article number 32 of 2020. Village Green Restoration received this bid, which came way under, if you guys all remember. I was shocked. Anyways, he's finishing up. He also got 5 other contracts at the same time. He's finishing up on all of his stuff. And this week or next week, and we'll be starting in Pine Grove the following week. So by the end of the month, he'll be in Pine Grove. And then last but not least, the article number 29, 2021, phase 2 of the Veterans Memorial Circle. I did go and, we have emails later on in the packet. Paul Sweetser, probably should have put that together so that you guys were all together with that, but sent me in a new schematic so that I could put it out to bid where the flagpoles and stuff are going. I did get a bid from the flagpole company, but I'll be putting out, it's gonna be a 30B bid procurement for the electrical. And I actually talked to Witt Landscaping. They actually have a pull thing, because they pull irrigation all the time, that they think that they can get it done a lot cheaper, and they have their own electrician. So I'm going to be putting it out to bid with several different companies, but we have to get a minimum of 3 bids for that. And I'm hoping that it comes in with a great price. So as soon as I get more information on that, I'll keep you guys apprised.
Yeah, pulling it should be a lot cheaper than drenching it.
Yeah, so then there was another company that I talked to, and they said the same thing, that they could also do something
So they
similar.
must have a good sized puller then to pull a,
Yeah.
because you're gonna have to pull a pipe about
Yeah.
that big to pull
Yep.
that electrical wire through.
So anyway, so that's where we stand with the CPC. I did also talk to them that I'll be working on our next year's CPC article, which would be the Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials. I have been meeting with somebody over at the Brooks Academy. They also have been doing the Revolutionary War veterans, so we're gonna be cross-referencing our lists and checking out all of our names, just to make sure we haven't missed anyone, because we hate to miss somebody on a memorial.
And is the East Harwich one on the 2022 also still?
The East Harwich is going on this year's town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year, we have the East Harwich gravestone. It's been unanimously approved by all the boards. It's gone through, and it'll be on the May town meeting.
Great.
Okay. We get the cemetery revolving account
So,
next in line.
I just thought I'd put this in the packet. This was something that came up in our draft warrant book, and I did not know that this was going through, but they have strike through all the authorized to spend, and the town administrator has made himself he wants to make himself in charge of all of the accounts, and then he'll appoint a designee. So I did ask him about that at one of our meetings, and I said, well, my designee isn't really me. My designee is you, because the commission is in charge of my revolving account. It's really not me. It's you 3 people allow me to spend money out of that. And everything that is expended out of there is approved by my board. So I didn't know how it was gonna work, and he said he could appoint you guys as the designee.
Could or would?
Could, I guess, would be the operative. I don't know. Hopeful,
We're gonna start that right after town meeting?
yes, if it passes. So,
Right, okay.
So, I don't know if anyone wants to go. You guys are probably all going to town meeting, and I don't know if you want to express concern, if you have any concern about that, or not. But normally what happens is the cemetery commission, and I'm sure the golf commission as well, all of these commissions normally approve expenditures to each one of these accounts. So, and I think it's just so that he can also have authorization in the account.
So that if he doesn't agree with something we want to do, he can tell us no.
I
That's what I'm getting?
I don't know,
Okay,
but you could maybe ask.
yeah.
Well, that's a question for Julie, and I asked it last meeting.
Oh, you did?
I asked what was going on,
Okay,
and she wasn't sure.
okay. So maybe we could, if you wanted to, you could reach out to her. Okay. But I just thought I'd put it in the packet just so you guys were aware.
Yeah, if we could get an answer back, maybe Julie can give us an answer before that, and you can just email us and
Okay,
perhaps?
Yep.
Then that way we'd know before town meeting.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next email was from this Nicole Muller, and she was doing a research project on the Hawks Nest Cemetery, and was very interested in our other Ebenezer Eldridge, because we have an Ebenezer Eldridge in the East Harwich Cemetery, who is a Revolutionary War veteran, who was born in Chatham and enrolled in Chatham to be in the Revolutionary War But we also have another Ebenezer Eldridge, they are first cousins. Probably their grandfather was also Ebenezer, I haven't checked that out yet, but he is buried at Hawk's Nest. This Ebenezer lived, in Hawk's Nest lived a lot longer than the one did, that's buried in, the one who's buried in the East Harwich Union Cemetery was 1797, he passed, and this one died in 1844.
Is there one also in the old, the one on Queen Anne?
Yeah, but he's not a Revolutionary War veteran.
Thank you.
Okay,
I thought that
so
sounded
he's
familiar.
probably a relative as well. So I actually was able to pull up this Ebenezer Eldridge's Revolutionary War pension file records, which I attached in here. It's hard to read on this. And you go through the whole thing and you realize, at first I was like, well, which Ebenezer is this? But this Ebenezer Eldridge's pension records were from the 1840s and 1830s, when he was, his wife was collecting pension with himself. But the final clincher was the Ebenezer Eldridge, the final page in it was in response to his communications for the Ebenezer Eldridge application for his pension, which was filed on September 17th, 1832. At the time, he was 79 years old. That was the clincher. Because the other Ebenezer Eldridge died in 1797. Okay, so then it did say that he was residing in Hardwick, but then they crossed it out and wrote Harwich, which was in Barnstable County, Massachusetts, and that his pension was allowing for 16 months for his service. So this is, by doing the Revolutionary War Memorial, I have to come across all of their stuff when they served. Did they serve the whole time? Did they sign up and not serve? Like, you can't put their name on the memorial unless you find out all this information. So a lot of research goes into searching these Revolutionary War veterans in order to make them eligible to be on a memorial. So I just thought I'd put in one person, just so you guys know what's entailed in going through that.
He was
So-
born 220 years before I was. Same, that's
Same
my
birthday?
yeah. That's cool. Then we get documents from the town of Chatham.
Yeah, so what happened is, I'm indexing all the veterans in the cemetery for making sure that everyone's inventoried. This Lewis Martin, when I went to his grave space to review it, he had no marker. So I was like, not only did he serve in World War I and World War II, he has no marker. So in order to I then talked to Shawnee Carroll, our veterans agent. She said, if you get me his original death certificate, I will file the paperwork. We'll make sure that he becomes a marked grave. So I contacted the town of Chatham town clerk. She was very receptive, and she sent me out the death certificate right away. I told her why I needed it, and she did not charge me, and she sent it right on to us. So I was very appreciative of her sending me that. Then I just included his World War I and World War II
Stuff.
information in the packet. So I don't know I think they write both. Rob, do they write both on his military marker?
Boy, I don't know. I would imagine that they would if he served in both.
Yeah, because
But
we
it's
do
serve
it.
versus registration is different, but.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they put both on there. And then, I don't know whether I should put a World War I or World War II flag holder. I would
Yeah,
assume
that-
World War I, right?
Do they
We're
make
talking
one that's
third-
sort of
I'm sorry.
combined?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what?
Do they make a marker that's sort of combined? Because that's not a norm, it's just.
So, that's 30-year difference.
I know.
So, which one did he actually get shot at? That's,
It's probably World War I.
yeah,
I would
so that's
assume.
kind of the marker. He'll
Okay.
probably get a World War. I would, Shawnee would know better, but.
Right. But I thought that was great that we were able to identify it, and then we're gonna get the marker. We did the same thing when we did Cyrus Ellis, who was a Civil War veteran, also in Island Pond. that was in an unmarked grave, so we want to make sure that everyone has a marked grave. His wife does not have a marked grave. Shawnee's gonna try to see if she can put on the document that his wife as well. I think if you order it all at once, they're allowed an extra line or so. So we'll see what happens with that, and I'll let you know, in case we have to do something for her.
And other business?
So I wanted to bring up, because I forgot, this had come through. You guys all have a copy of this. This is a beautiful marker that they're gonna be having a ceremony. Duncan Berry has been working with the Sons of the American Revolution, and they are doing a dedication on May 21st, which is a Saturday. It's to honor our Revolutionary War patriots that are buried in the North Harwich Cemetery. Does anyone want to read our veterans for us?
Revolutionary War patriots, Sons of the American Revolution, North Harwich, Mass. Private Gamaliel Cahoon, Sergeant
Job.
Job Chase Sr., Major William Gage, Sergeant Zebulon Gage.
Yeah.
Dedicated to the soldiers who served our country in the Revolutionary War, financial support provided by the George Washington Endowment Fund.
Yeah, so Duncan's been working with a group of individuals in the town. He is trying to get all of our, Revolutionary War veterans, make sure they're all marked and identified. So we thank him for all of his efforts, getting that beautiful
Yeah,
plaque
it's a
that's going to be
nice-looking
going up
plaque.
at the cemetery. And I hope a lot of people will be able to attend that.
Is this going to be, are they advertising this?
Yeah,
or
they are gonna
posting
be,
it, or-
yep, they're gonna be advertising it. And I'll make sure that it's also posted maybe at the community center, or see if we can put it on a page on our website as well.
Now, the other thing I was thinking of, since we're doing all the graves by this virtual location,
Yep,
should we contact the Catholic Church and the church in Harwich Center? Because I know there's historic people gotta be buried in those two cemeteries also.
so,
If they wanna commit to doing some of this so they can get some of that located also, some of the historic people?
we can, the people who are Revolutionary War and Civil War veterans that are buried in Harwich Center Cemetery, I already have those ones. So, those ones will be, identified and will be marked on our memorial that we're doing in Evergreen. Their location, I don't know about that yet, but we can find out.
I didn't know if they'd be interested in
Yeah.
paying for part of this service, and, we can get all together, because then that'll encompass all of Harwich.
And I don't think, Holy Trinity's not old enough to have people from either one of those wards. So Holy Trinity started much later.
What about significant Harwich residents?
Yeah, I mean, true.
I don't know if they'd be interested in any of it. They
Yeah.
could say, just no, we're not interested in the
Right.
expense, and that ends that whole
Right.
theory. I just think it might be worth checking into to see if they want to,
Good point.
Okay.
because then we could defer some of the maintenance costs and stuff
Okay.
like that to them.
So I included
Excuse
Bless you.
the accounts that Wendy Turlick sends to me in your packet sheet. They're still kind of behind. So the report that they gave only goes up till February. So I think it's sometimes easier just to look at mine, because mine's up to date to the date. So if you go to mine, I think they're easier to read than, so, in our water, say these ones. It's just easier to read these ones, I think. So if you go to the water, we started off the year with a $2,384, and we've expended $1,329.91. We have a couple bills this week, but not much. So we have a remaining balance still in that of $1,054.91, but we do get another round of water bills that come through in the end of June for the cemeteries, and those are usually higher end because we turn the water on in May, and so then a lot of people are watering, so those are usually more significant. It might be on the back of one, Cindy, because it never started.
This is an irrigation, right? This is just.
No, this is just straight water. We
Water
don't,
taps.
we don't do any irrigation. And then mileage due and subscription, we have $1,276. That, most of, the bulk of that is my mileage. Right now, we've expended $861.24. I have not done my mileage for February, March as of yet, and we still have $414 in that. Supplies, we started off with $510, and we still have a remaining balance of $280. And then clothing, I've not used any of my clothing supply, which was $325. Did you guys all have this?
Yep.
I don't know why Cindy didn't.
It's at the
It's on
end.
the back of
It's
the-
just before these. And right after these.
The Munis, yeah, that's what I thought it would be, but,
Might be on the back. There it is.
oh, there it is. Thank you.
So anyways, we're still in, we're in,
Caught up.
we're in good shape. We still have a remaining balance of $1,750.39 in this account. And then if you look at the cemetery revolving account,
Can I ask just a quick question?
Yes.
This is your spreadsheet?
I do this because
It's a lot easier to read.
it's
than
a lot easier to read than the ones that they do. Theirs are pages and
No,
pages and
I'm
pages.
I was thrown just because it starts with a minus $2,000.
Yeah, that's what,
I think everything below that's supposed to be a minus.
I know, that's just the way they do it in Munis as well, so I just follow what they
Gotcha.
do.
Okay, nope. You got a method, don't mess with the method.
Just don't want, I
I
want
just
mine
have to
to.
get caught up, that's all.
Okay.
Then an email from Megan on bid documents for the Memorial Circle.
So that just, we talked about that, she said they were both straight 30B procurements. And then I had Paul send us back in this diagram, if you guys remember, this is the Memorial Circle. And I'll have to talk to Link about moving the gazebo out of the center of it and moving it to either, we can either set it on all the way down to where the end of the walk would go. If we put up the walkway, starting there, and we put that at the very end, and maybe we could do a little garden around there. Or we could put it in the other diagonal corner of Evergreen, and maybe we could make a cremation section. So I didn't know what you guys wanted to do. I don't know if you guys want to go out there and have a visit, and we can walk it, and then you can make a decision.
Yeah, because that last part, we didn't even think about that when
So-
we met in the fall out there.
Right, because there's such a huge move for cremation, we do have a small cremation section in the older section of Evergreen, but we don't have a cremation section, yeah, it's tiny, it's right around the flagpole. It's very small, Cindy. There was probably 50 more lots there, but, it's pretty small. So if we did another one, so if we moved the gazebo over to that other corner, which is kind of up near Pee Wee's house almost. If we did it in that corner, we could do a cremation area in that little section there and make it a pretty nice section over there. It's good enough that we could do it, and we could lay it out so that way we could get, we'd put all flat flash markers there, and we could have a little walkway going up to the gazebo. It's just something to think about.
And
So I didn't know if
as
you.
opposed to the gazebo being the speech location,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys, we could make an appointment to go out there. I think it's better if you walk it and see it
Yeah.
to make the decision, but we really want the American flag in the center of this, so we're gonna have to move the gazebo off the center, so. that
Then
is-
maybe our next meeting, we could go out to Evergreen, look at that, whatever else we need to, and maybe pick another cemetery that's in that general area.
Yeah, it's good, now that the weather's beautiful.
We can do Evergreen and do the Union Cemetery, because those are
Yeah.
in that same neck of the woods.
Okay, yep. And I do have in this packet too, Tom did go out and complete those rails that we asked him to do and fix those granite posts that were laying down. It was just a small little section that went along the street. Cindy, you must have noticed you've been to church since then, right? And then straightened out the whole alignment that went down the entire side. He did not do any of the back fencing, which was the large portion, which has a lot of broken granite ones that we had tried to put in for the additional CPC article for. But at least, you know, when I went before the CPC, they complained that the cemetery was not being well kept. And they did have, the DPW did go out there and they cleaned up a lot of the debris that was down by the dumpster. And they cleaned up a lot of the other stuff. As you came in the cemetery, at the Union Cemetery on the right-hand side, one of the posts was leaning into one of the stones. We had him straighten that one out, put in the rails that were broken there. And then, so some were replaced as you drive in around, I guess, is that a, kind of like a little shop downstairs? Like a
It's
The
yeah,
thrift store.
thrift store, okay. So as you come up the hill there on the right-hand side, that part of the fence was leaning in towards some of the stones, and it was actually touching them. And then one of the things were cracked. So then on the other side, that was a butts kind of looking towards the animal hospital. He had straightened out two of those posts. One post was buried in the ground. He dug that out and put it where one of them was broken, and then replaced those rails there, and then down the side, and then straightened out the rest of them. So that bill was $4,860. But it's a lot of work to lift those granite posts, dig those holes. Every time you put in a new rail, you have to tip the post so that the rail fits in and
To
then
get
tip it
enough
back.
space to get it back in.
Right. So, he did finish that. It looks good. I went in and I should have put pictures in the packet. But I took a lot of pictures. I had pictures before because we tried to do the CPC article. But when I went before the CPC, I told them that we had done that, and they were very thankful that we are making the initiative to go and maintain the cemetery the way it should be maintained, so.
I was driving around the other day and I went through Evergreen,
Yeah,
and the DPW's over there, the guy on a big blower, had the place all cleaned out,
oh, good.
so that looks good.
So I did talk to Link at our last department meeting, and he has put on Indeed to hire somebody, and I actually had a phone call this morning from somebody who worked at the Mosswood Cemetery in Barnstable who was applying for the job, so, which would be great, because he has previously worked in a cemetery department, and he's looking at moving over here to Harwich,
awesome.
which is great, so I hope they hire him. Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking is if they, because I don't know what kind of mower they use, and it's harder to keep changing the deck heights.
Yeah.
If we get some kind of a designated mower that could fit in, because the golf course, we had mowers, instead of one big deck that would scalp, it had 3 decks, and they floated, so it'll cover more undulating surfaces without scalping it. We can set that to maybe cut higher. And then you won't have to, then the grass won't burn out that much.
So maybe we should have Jim come in, or somebody come in and tell us what kind of, I don't even know what kind of mowers they use.
Yeah, if we could have them come in, we can find out what it is, and is it beneficial to get you a more specialized, because the golf course has all sorts of, we had thousands of different mowers that do almost anything.
That'd probably have to be a line item, don't you think? Like,
Well, eventually down the road, we
Fire
could get him
department gets
Yeah,
a better mower for the,
but we could, you know, you have to think about what we want to put on for next year. So
Right,
if it's something that we think that we're gonna need, I wouldn't mind,
yeah, if Jim
At least
could come to a
exploring
meeting,
it.
we could ask him if that would be beneficial to what he does, instead of keeping, because we should be cutting the cemeteries a little bit taller,
Yeah,
because you gotta cut your house lawn 3.5 inches, and the sports fields, you cut down a lot lower.
yeah,
And they're irrigated where the cemetery's not, so if it was taller, then the grass may stay a little bit nicer.
yeah,
Just simple things. I mean, the mower could cost you $25,000-30,000.
right.
Yeah, and if we're considering hiring out some of that work too, we don't
Yeah.
want to go invest in
Yeah.
something special, but
Right.
that's just something to think about, definitely.
Cool. And then we got to approve cemetery commission description of responsibilities.
So that, we discussed this, I tried to look and I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
A couple of months ago, when we were deep into the rules discussion, and I kind of got lost there. So this is the book
Yep.
that I was given when I joined. And if you go to page 17, it says Cemetery Commission, and it doesn't explain our job, what we're supposed to be doing. So what I did was, when we were working on the rules, I just whittled down what some other towns had, made it fit with what we had already voted to send out in our rules, and that's that middle paragraph here, 3 paragraphs
Yeah, in
in
blue.
the center of that page.
Yeah.
These right here. And then I also had the references for the towns that I kind of used as a
so it's the last 2
inspiration.
pages, Cindy. It's just the last 2.
Yeah, it's at the end of Steve's stuff, Cindy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right after the 17,000 page, or 7,500 page.
Mine all mixed up.
I like the way that, because that's what we have in the rules and regulations, right?
Yeah, I took it, it ended up, I just took out the couple of paragraphs that followed, because they didn't apply to us, it applied to how we do things, and
It's on the back side of this page.
Oh, gosh. It's here somewhere, I'm sure. I've got pages all mixed
I
up.
make a motion that Robin put yellow tabs on these for future references.
Sorry, I shouldn't be I'm
Oh,
double-sided,
just
I'm
teasing,
trying to
just
save
teasing.
trees.
Teasing Robin at Cindy's expense.
Jeez. That's the sort of thing. Is
So
it-
it's on the other side of that. Yep.
Ta-da!
And there-
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so it's these middle 3 paragraphs, Cindy, and if everybody likes it and we approve it, then I imagine it would be send it to Julie
Yeah,
so that she could say, hey, this is the Cemetery Commission
right.
recommends. I mean, they're free to put whatever they want
Yeah.
in there, but if we did it for them, it probably makes their job easier.
I think that's nice. Gives
Yeah,
it-
it doesn't even say you're a 3-member board or anything? It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
say
does.
anything? No, in the original one. In the,
Well,
In the book, does it
there's nothing in the book.
say a 3-member board or anything?
It's page 7, I got it right here. It's page 17. And it says Cemetery Commission, blank,
That's it?
Community Center Facilities Committee.
okay,
Right in the middle of the
All right.
page, there is nothing written
All right.
there. Yeah.
so, yeah, we probably should add something to that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of those committees, they don't, well, some of them do. Yeah, we could add a sentence that says,
Well, it says, the second paragraph says, the cemetery can,
oh, 3
commission.
members, right,
Yep.
there you
of
go.
3 members appointed by the Harwich Board of Selectmen. Yeah,
Covers everything.
I think that should be,
Great.
I think that should be first, though. Or you think,
Yeah.
Move the middle
Now-
paragraph up.
It doesn't matter where it is, really.
yeah, okay,
I think. The other
I think
thing
it's laid out nice.
all right.
So do I hear a motion to approve that, to submit to the select board to put in the handbook?
just to make one correction.
See, I knew the English teacher was gonna
Right.
hit me for something.
Oh, no, it's minor, Marceline, not Marceline. It's an
Oh,
I,
you know,
not an
that
E.
got through a lot of things.
It shouldn't be.
I know, I've changed it on a couple things I keep
Yeah.
forgetting to tell
It's
you.
Marceline,
I-N-E.
yeah.
Well, Robin, when you send this to them, can you just
Yeah.
make that typo change?
That's all, but it's great, thank you
That's
very
in the
much.
blue part?
That's on the second sentence at the end.
So Cindy,
And it was a whole bunch of places in our rules revision, and it just, well, you know, spell check doesn't catch it, and
Yeah, I think we got them all.
yep, so who's making this motion?
Steve made it.
I made a motion to accept that.
A second it?
I,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay,
All righty,
and we would send that out to
Marceline
Julie.
change.
yes, I will send to Julie.
Thank you, Rob.
Sure,
That's good.
And then,
on the computer.
other old business, where do we stand on the rules and regulations? What do we have?
So we still waiting to hear back, so right now, I did, sneak out, me and Cindy did go to the conference, I did, try to, I waited and went over and spoke to the, whatever it is, legislature guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, and, he's gonna get back to me. So he didn't know off the top of his head, but he said he'd get back to me.
But we don't have enough time to get in this town meeting.
No, it's not,
anyway.
it won't make it in this town meeting
So it
anyways.
could be the fall town meeting if we have to go that route.
If we have to, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
And he's gonna formally send you
Yeah.
something in writing, okay.
Yeah, he will.
Really a shame.
So then we,
But hey, along those lines, if I can bump up C, what were you just elected to
oh.
as new business?
I was put on the board of, the Mass Cemetery Association.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So, I'm their second vice president. I think what they're really aiming for is 2 years I will be their president, so.
You served that before, correct?
No, I was the New England
Okay. And then we-
Cemetery
sorry.
Association president. I'm their past president, I'm on their board of directors.
Well, I'm
It's
just
like she
gonna,
needs something else to do.
well, yeah, I mean, I know that, but just to tag team on what the FinCom chairman said right here 3 weeks ago was what a valuable asset you are to the town, and under-recognized valuable asset, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
I think he used the word overworked, but
So,
congratulations.
And we are
Thank
lucky
you.
to have him. Congratulations. We're lucky to have you as
So-
the administrator.
so we do have, a couple things, so we have when we were at the conference, me and Cindy were approached, by one of the members of the New England board, who's actually on the board of UMass as well, about attending the conference, for the New England Cemetery Association, which we normally go to every year. They haven't had it for 2 years due to the COVID, epidemic. And, this year it is being held in Mills Falls, which is in Meredith, New Hampshire.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
It's really
so
nice.
Cindy went there for other conference recently, so she can attest that it's pretty nice. For a single member attendee, it's $550. I probably would like to attend. I won't stay all the way through Thursday, because I have to get back, because I'm having, which is fine, I can just stay till the 22nd. But Cindy also was interested in going.
For the whole thing?
Would you guys like to go?
I have to check the calendar of events.
Okay.
And I'll look it over. And what time, when do we have to know by?
Well, I'm gonna call and see what the availability is. There's 3 different, and I gave you a little map at the end of the packet. Availability on the rooms, because there's 4 different types of rooms that you can get. The conference is being held in, I believe, the Church Landing. But they also have the Inn at Mills Falls, the Chase House, and then Bay Point. Okay,
Actually, on Monday, there's no,
real,
actually.
Yeah.
Speakers, et cetera.
correct.
On Monday, but
Right.
let's see, Tuesday and Wednesday might be interesting.
Right.
There's a field trip on Wednesday.
They haven't had
Yeah,
a
so
shot
they're
then.
doing a lot of stuff with the military. So they're going to the New Hampshire State Veterans Cemetery, and they're also doing Wreaths Across America, which Rob, you do a Wreaths
I
Across.
did Wreaths Across America for years
Yeah.
with the airline, and yeah, I mean, it's a very good organization, not very organized, but a good organization.
So they are coming to talk, because I think they want to get more organized with the local
Well,
cemeteries.
what's interesting is in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
the state veterans
Yeah,
is not a national cemetery. The state does not have a national veterans cemetery like we
Oh.
have at Bourne.
yeah,
And was not involved at all with Wreaths Across America, which was frustrating because I was trying to get pilots
yeah.
to do wreath placing up there, and they had to join some Boy Scout groups and
Yep.
whatever to do some small town.
So it looks like they're trying to reach out and come across different lines now in a Wreaths Across America. I know that they've contacted Becky as well and Dennis about doing wreaths on her veterans' graves. And,
I'd rather not say here, but, I mean, I can explain
Okay.
some stuff that has gone on with them that I'm like.
okay,
But anyway, if you're up there, it'd be worth hearing what they have
Right.
to say. I think they are making an effort.
right.
Well, I mean, do we have to do anything about this now? I mean,
So would you allow me to attend? So I would
well,
have,
yeah, I was gonna move that we
Okay.
pay for a minimum of you through as long as you want to
Yeah.
attend, and Cindy as well.
okay,
I mean, I probably won't go, but,
I'm not sure if I can make it or not, but
okay,
yeah, it's still a little far out for
it
our
was
planning.
interesting. The speakers were really good.
yeah.
Enjoyed it before.
Especially if you just keep going on the motorhome, right? And just turn it into a,
So, you
So
know,
Rob made a motion, is there a
I make,
second?
I make a motion that, well, are you gonna go, or?
I don't know yet. I have to look at calendars and,
Well, so we can't really decide, so,
we can definitely send her.
so if it, hang on, well, let's do it this way. How much would it cost for the three of you to go? 'Cause I probably will not.
So I'm gonna have to find out the availability on the rooms.
Yeah.
So maximum would be $3,000. Right?
I would, yeah,
Or 550
Yeah,
single attendee? I
Yeah.
mean, imagine, I don't know why it's a
Yeah.
double attendee, but
yeah.
what does that involve?
So we had two people that wanted to share a room, or a couple went, so.
Well, that's more expensive.
Yeah,
It's-
I know.
So how about would the 550 be enough?
So 550 is to attend the conference, and then I have to pay for the room.
For 2 nights?
Yeah, 2 nights. Yeah, so the rooms are, range from 200 to 300, depending on which hotel you get into. So I gotta call and find out availability. I'm probably gonna stay for 2 nights.
We should definitely approve that she goes, and we'll add whoever else wants to go later. It's probably a long ride to go for 1 day in it.
Right,
Yeah,
It
it's
would be a
way
long ride
far
for
a
mo-
day trip, yeah.
yeah.
It's 2.5 hours, actually.
Ain't you, Ben? It's like going
2.5 to 3 hours.
Sturbridge.
So, I mean, I don't see how we can vote on this, but we don't know how many are,
Yeah, let's make a motion
I-
that we definitely will approve Robin to go to the conference.
well, no, I think we go further than that. You or maybe.
It's possible.
So I make a motion that we fund up to the three of you
Okay.
There we go.
for full attendance if necessary, with the understanding that if you don't attend completely,
Right,
we don't spend that money.
right, okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And is it unanimous?
Yes.
So, the next thing I have is the 3 bills. So we had, For the rails at the Union Cemetery was $4,860. Seaside Arborists, they were in Mount Pleasant for a full day, and they were in Island Pond for a full day. They were $3,400, and then Eversource was $12. One was $6 for March, and one was $6 for April, because the water's really not turned on. Once it gets turned on, and then the water's starting to work at the entrance, and there'll be additional fees. So send that down.
It's on the back.
We did have deeds that I gave you guys earlier to sign off on, in Island Pond and in Evergreen Cemetery. And do you guys know the meeting of our next, because I think it's town, we have town meeting the first week in May, so I think we can't have it the first week in May, because town meeting will probably go for 2 days, and if there's a town meeting, we're not allowed to have our regular board meetings. Because poor Jamie will be up all night the night before. On Jamie. That's it, right. So we'll have to do the following Tuesday.
Be the 10th? Or is that town meeting?
No, town meeting's the first week.
So you can have the meeting on the 10th?
Okay, is that okay for everybody?
I think so.
Yep.
May 10th.
I will go downstairs and book it after this meeting, so we're in. Does anybody have any other?
I do not.
Can I go back and ask you a question? Is that?
Sure.
I mean, I can do it next. So, on your numbers, so the water bills on this page here,
Yep, yep,
so Pine Grove and Island Pond, I see they're later on, so this must have been the heat of the summer.
yes,
$355?
yes.
I mean,
So,
this is without irrigation?
so what happened is, in Island Pond, we had planted a whole bunch of, we have newer trees.
Right.
So we have to fill up those watering bags.
Oh, yeah.
So we were filling up all the watering bags on all the newly planted trees. In Pine Grove, we had several people who planted new trees that were recently buried, and they were watering the trees. And one of the individuals who was doing a lot of the watering down there has passed away. So his services are going to be, he's also a veteran. He's one of the veterans I spoke to you about,
Yeah.
so I'll be giving you the date of his thing. So he was watering all of his family grave spaces, and he had just planted a whole bunch of new trees and stuff. So hopefully they're fully established and they won't need any additional water. But I believe because they'll be doing the stone cleaning and from the CPC article that was awarded, the water will be on. So all of the foundations he'll be repairing and all of the stones that he'll be cleaning in that CPC article, I would assume that the water bill will be the same for Pine Grove this year.
Well, I was just concerned that we didn't have some kind of weird leak that
Yeah.
we had to ask the water department to go
Right.
do their dowager checking thing that they do.
No, it was newly planted, and I think Island Pond is always gonna have an additional, it's always higher than the other cemeteries. We have a lot more, a lot of the other cemeteries don't have as much vegetation as.
As we do there.
More people go down there and maintain their lots and do a
I
lot
mean,
of.
Evergreen is very, very low compared to Island Pond and Pine Grove.
Right.
Well, what happened?
Which, although Evergreen has, we have a well at Evergreen at the entrance, and that's what the electric bill is, the $6 electric bill.
Is what-
But because we put in that well at the entrance there, that maintains that whole newer section. So anyone that waters within that section of Evergreen, that,
For free.
we don't have a water bill for that. We have a water bill for the other side, which is the older side of Evergreen. That's what that water
The
bill's
yucca
from.
plant side.
Yeah, yucca plants.
For
Well, we
Cindy's-
have the
For
nice-
Cindy's benefit.
We do have a nice garden over there that is maintained by the garden club that's around the flagpole, which is pretty nice as well. But so for the most part, and we lost a lot of established trees over in the older section of Evergreen, so I'd like to plant, when we get that plant list back from Agway, because they give us a great discount, I'd like to plant some trees over in that older section. Because all the ones that were along that road as you come in, off of Church, came tumbling down, and they were significant trees. Well, is it Church on the side street there?
It's,
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the Union Cemetery
No,
or
no,
Evergreen?
no, Evergreen. What's the
Evergreen's on
street that,
137.
On the left side?
Cemetery Road.
Cemetery Road, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, sorry, Cindy.
That's okay.
So Cemetery Road, so as you come in Cemetery Road, all the trees that were on the left hand, as you come in, that were against that road, they all came down. So there's nothing there, I mean, they step ground them, so
There
that,
used to be rows of evergreens down each one.
yeah,
And they went over like dominoes
yeah,
back in, what, 42, I think it was, that hurricane.
right. So I mean, it'd be nice if we could plant some different types of evergreens in there,
be nice.
yeah. Just to
Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn
Adjourn.
the meeting? At
So moved.
Meeting adjourned at 10:46.
10:46.